Talk to me. Let's talk about it. Hey there, creepy peeps. I'm Nightmare Maven. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I talk about spooky things all year round, so if you also like spooky things all year round, you should subscribe. Hopefully I say the director's last name correctly, but Talk to Me is directed by Daniel and Michael Filippo, and it follows Mia, who is mourning the loss of her mother, and she falls in with a group of her classmates who use an embalmed hand to talk to the dead. I was super excited to see this as soon as I started seeing the trailers. I already knew I could relate to the story a lot, so I was super stoked to finally be able to see it. Our main character, Mia, as I said, is mourning the loss of her mom, who has been gone for 2 years, I believe, when the movie opens. And she now has a strained relationship with her father because of this. And those are two things I can definitely relate to. So it's natural that we have a horror movie like this where Mia is going to seek out a way to talk to her mom again. And if I hadn't seen a million horror movies before that show all of the horrible things that can happen when you try and reach out to somebody who has passed, I would have tried it myself. The idea of reaching out to the dead to talk to a loved one who has passed on, or just to find out what happens to us after we die, is such a human thing, and naturally horror movies have explored this idea for a really long time. But the filmmakers did something really cool here that made Talk to Me stand out. I loved the concept, first and foremost, of this being a viral trend that Mia's classmates do at parties. It's something you could easily see being a thing in real life. And of course you have that added layer of just like desensitization, because as we see at the first party that Mia goes to where this happens, as soon as somebody is about to get possessed, they're about to do the thing, everybody pulls out their phones. So it's easy to see young people maybe not taking what they're doing seriously, and having the phones filming at the same time kind of adds to that. You got that layer of separation there. So everything that follows becomes some like wild, funny, crazy thing that they're seeing through a screen rather than a terrifying moment happening right in front of them. And just as a side note, I feel like the way the possessions are portrayed during the parties could be seen as like an allegory for drug use or just substance abuse in any capacity. And it is mentioned briefly, although it's not explored super in depth. I felt that Mia did use some kind of drug at some point. The movie is not even very specific about that. And the way the teens are filming each other while possessed kind of feels like they're filming a friend at a party who is like too drunk or too high. Again, just kind of like another way seeing things through a screen. Doesn't like skew your perception, but it just adds that layer of separation and kind of makes what you're experiencing feel not real. I will say though, the hype got the better of me for this one, I have to admit. I ended up seeing the trailer a whole bunch at the movie theaters before going to see this. And I know a lot of people online are talking about how scary the movie is. So by the time I finally got to see it, I was just kind of like, I don't know, it was, you know, it happens to the best of us. I just built it up in my head and it didn't feel as scary as I felt the trailers and everybody was making it out to be. I thought the possession moments were super scary though. The actors did an amazing job at this as well, like I have to say. But seeing the ghosts like outside of the possession just wasn't that scary to me. Like I wasn't blown away by any of the like the more scarier, creepy scenes in the film. Where the film really shined for me was not really in the horror elements, but at the portrayal of loss and loneliness that Mia feels. We see how the world around Mia has moved on after her mother passed, but Mia still holds on to that grief, which is, like I said, something I can very personally relate to, because grief is cyclical. It's just certain times of year, I'm more sad. Sometimes out of nowhere, it just hits me, even if it's not at a particular time of year. But society as a whole, I feel like still views grief as this linear thing that you just get through a certain number of steps and then you're over it. And that's not really how it is. And I feel like this movie just somehow really picked up on that idea, that maybe a little bit of frustration for Mia that the world doesn't stop every time it's her mother's Remembrance Day. And she's trying to like cling on to anything really to feel something. And she just feels like this loneliness and this isolation because of her grief. And I just feel like it was portrayed so well. I've yet to see a movie since my own mom passed that I felt like really got it. And this movie got it with Mia's character. And I feel like that portrayal of like the power of grief and how lonely Mia feels, that's what wowed me. I think that's what made this movie stand out to me. So it almost like disappointed me more about the horror elements that I just didn't find it as scary as I thought it was gonna be. And as I said, the performances shined in this. Sophie Wilde as Mia and Joe Bird as Riley particularly, I wanna shout out. I think they did amazing, especially when they were possessed. Those were the freakiest moments for me, honestly. And I did love the lighting in the film. I have to say, I do have a soft spot for like any horror movie that has to do with like the afterlife, ghosts, a haunting, any sort of thing in that realm. And the whole of the movie, or the majority of the movie, is just like gloomy, overcast. It's always taking place like on like the rainiest day, and everything is just gray skies everywhere. I feel like it was a nice like visual representation also of Mia's grief, just like everything feels gray all the time. And because so much of the movie is this kind of like gloomy, overcast feel, it does make you pay attention to the moments in the movie where scenes are brightly lit or it's taking place in the middle of the day, because there's not too many of those scenes. And maybe that's something I can explore a little bit down the line once more people have seen this movie, because it'll definitely get into spoiler territory. Overall, I did like the movie. It's like just a part of it let me down, but then another part blew me away. So I guess that kind of like leaves me in the middle somewhere. I have seen quite a few reviews from other people though on YouTube and other places, and I feel like the majority of people so far I've seen really like it, so I might be in the minority here. I'll definitely be looking forward to hearing what you guys thought in the comments. So on that note, if you've seen Talk to Me, please share your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new here, become a creepy peep today, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.